It's ball talk. It's ball talk, baby. 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 Baby.
Hello and welcome to the Ball Talk podcast. It is currently 11:45 a.m. Saturday, May 8th. I'm your host, John Sock, and as always, I'm joined by my main man, Chaz Jurgens.
You know who it is.
And today, we're blessed to have my great friend, Australia's finest and current IMG post-grad National Guard, Oscar Berry. Oscar, how are you doing, my man?
Good. Thanks for that intro, man. That was beautiful.
Of course, man. Anything for you. And for all the listeners, me and Oscar go way back to my time at IMG, as I have with most of our recent guests, honestly. Oscar was a sophomore while I was on the post-grad team. Our teams practiced at the same time because IMG has 1,000 courts and 1,000 squat racks. So we would practice at the same time, and then we would lift at the same time. So we always were hanging out like after practice, between lifts, after lifts, all that stuff. A lot of time at the trainers, hanging out with Ben together. And now Oscar's on the post-grad national team and is close to making his college decisions. We figured it was a great time to get him on, talk about that, talk about IMG, talk about Australia, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Oscar, let's kick this off. Your whole family is basically super athletes. I remember the first time you told me at IMG, I just sat there with my jaw agape. I could not understand just the immense amount of success in athletics that your family has had. Can you please regale us with all the details? Regale the viewers with the details.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we've got to start with the old man, my dad. So he played Australian football for most of his life. So that's the national sport in Australia. If you get some spare time, definitely look it up. Definitely a sport that's very wild. So yeah, he has a great legendary career. He was also a legendary coach in that sport at the semi-professional level. He's like in the Hall of Fame for his club team. So yeah, he's very well respected in the Australian football world. And then after that, he got his PhD in sports science. So our whole family just knows all about the human body and how the sports science can affect your sporting ability. And then that's probably why my brothers have taken when they went to college, they take degrees in say like bodily science or like physiotherapy. And that also goes back to my grandpa as well, who was a boxing coach, very well respected. He has his own boxing gym named after him in Australia, and he also coached up a lot of grassroots boxers in Australia who got onto the professional level. And being a boxing coach, he definitely implemented the discipline in my family to have that drive almost to become successful in sports.
I'm going to go on record really quick and say I had no idea about his father or his grandfather. I only knew about his brothers. I am as shocked as the listeners are right now. They're only going to get more shocked when they hear about the rest of the family. I'm sorry, Oscar. I had to put that out there.
Yeah, so we'll go down the list of my brothers now. So since my dad was obviously so legendary in the Australian football scene, we all played Australian football growing up. That was all three of our main sports. So I have three older brothers. My oldest brother played Australian football growing all the way up, and then he was in the pathway to get to the next level. But he almost decided that his body type wasn't really prepared for the Australian football life. He was like a 6'4", 6'5" string bean, like super skinny. And in Australian football, that's full contact. That he's gonna get messed up. But then he did find that he had a huge kick, or punting, as the North Americans like to say. So one day, this guy looked at him and he said, have you ever tried punting for like an American football style? Because like your kick's huge. So he went with it, He played for like a local Australian football club, American football club in Australia, and American football unheard of in Australia. Like barely anyone knows the rules. The only time people will watch it is at like Super Bowl. It's the only time you'll ever watch it. So he played for like the local American football club, and then he was good enough to get picked up by the state team. And then the state team, he played for Australia then. And they do an exhibition game, Australia versus New Zealand. And from there, he actually got offered a Division I scholarship to play American football at Eastern Kentucky University. And basically, that's where his American experience started. Played 4 years at Eastern Kentucky. He enjoyed that a lot. Made lifelong friends and stuff like that. And then 1 year out of college, he wasn't lucky enough to get picked up by any NFL team. So he came back to Australia for a year. And I love telling this story because that year was quite hard for him. He was working like the graveyard at McDonald's for an entire year, working on like minimum wage. He would sometimes work at the farmers market to get extra pay. I know for the last 3 months he was at a call center for like the train station or something. So yeah, but he was always like training for punting. And then where do I go from here? He used to like post his like punting mixtapes, like YouTube and stuff. Just anyone who wanted to watch, he would just throw it out there. And he was lucky enough to actually get a tryout with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he went over there, and the punter for the Steelers at the time was Brad Wing, who was another Australian punter. So yeah, he mixed in well for the summer camp, but obviously there can only be one punter because NFL teams don't really want to hold on to that position too much right nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, he actually won the spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's had a really good, rewarding career with them now, and he's going on to 6 years with the Steelers, and he's just signed on for another year, so he's doing well for himself.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I love how casually you describe, and now he's just having a career with the Steelers.
There's so many stories I can tell because at the time when my brother was in the NFL for 6 years, my two other brothers lived in Australia, so I was one of the only brothers who actually lived in the US. So I got to see him more than my other two brothers, and he would take me to like the Steelers facility to lift weights and like sit on the sidelines and just watch training. So like I got to see heaps of few things. I got to see Juju get drafted. I saw the AB and Le'Veon era.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories to tell was Alejandro Villanueva, who's the left tackle for the Steelers. Something ridiculous, 6'11", like 350 pounds or something. Huge dude.
Huge.
So my brother's in the squat racks, and he's doing his squats. He's got like two 45-pound plates on each side, just like your normal squatting rack. And he goes, "All right, wait here. I'm gonna go get some waters. I'll be right back." And he walks away, and I'm probably 14 at the time, so I'm still pretty fresh-faced. I'm nervous as ever could be. I'm sitting down, and Alejandro comes over, and he just looks at me, takes the weights off the rack, and starts curling them. And I'm sitting there like, no, like I can't even get that off the rack. I'm not. And then he puts it back on there, and he just does a little shh to me, and then walks away. And I'm just, oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
Just absolutely insane. So many stories, and I'm obviously very thankful to have an older brother like that to like almost aspire to become that level. So we'll move on to my second brother who's in sports. His name's Wilson. So he also played Australian football growing up. He was a bit more dedicated to it than say me or the oldest brother. So he stuck with it for a long time. He was in the youth program, which is like a build up to get to like the semi-professional level, because in Australia we don't have the college sports system. It's kind of just like you play junior sports and then you go straight to the league. There's no like in between grace period. So he played in the youth like elite league, which was like the top. It's called at the time it was called the TAC Cup League, which is like the elite junior league. And then from there he got picked up by Essendon Football Club, which is it's a professional team, but they also have a semi-professional team. And he spent most of his time playing for the semi-professional team for 4 years. But then he really wanted to stick with it, but I think just some of the opportunities that weren't presenting themselves. He kind of switched his mindset and said, "I'll also give punting a try." So he did a year of training for punting, and then just this year, actually, he's committed to Kentucky University for football.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's going to be a freshman this year for the Kentucky football team. And he's definitely enjoying that experience now. He's in the spring camp and the summer camp. I'm not sure what it's called. But,
wait,
yeah.
really quick. And how much older is he than you?
He's 22.
He's 22, and you're 19.
Yeah, I'm 19, correct.
Okay, so he's 3 years older than you, and you'll both be freshmen at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, he's getting ready to play his freshman year. He's definitely very excited to do that. And that's just another brother to look up to, basically. Yeah.
So you never decided, and you're seeing both your brothers as awesome kickers, and you never like, maybe I should start punting. Maybe I should.
I mean, it's always in the back of the head. I know I've got a leg on me, so I can definitely boot a few balls. But yeah, it's always been basketball for me. So that's always the first priority. But you never know. There's always the backup plan.
Backup plan. Let me just backup plan. Let me just become a punter, like everyone else in my family, because apparently we're genetically built for this. So
Yeah.
I gotta ask. So why basketball when none of your brothers play the sport?
So it starts from the very beginning. When we're all growing up playing Australian football, right? I was 6 years old at the time. And Australian football was deemed too dangerous for these young kids to play. So I wasn't allowed to participate in Australian football. So obviously I got these 3 older brothers who are all playing their sport, and I'm like, little me just trying to get involved. I just want to play something. So my brother played in like a domestic basketball league, which is like your equivalent to like the Y here. Just for fun. He was like playing with friends. So through that, I was like shooting at halftime. Ended up really liking it, and they actually let you play when you're 6 years old. So, yeah,
Big pull factor.
yeah. So I played basketball and Australian football growing up. So dual sport athlete for most of my life, and then eventually just stuck with basketball because just enjoyed it just a little bit more.
I was going to say, because I've watched some Aussie rules football in my time, and it is a very physical sport. Was there anything about you that was like pushed away from the contact, or was it really just they told you weren't allowed to play, so you started playing basketball a little bit more?
Nothing really pushed me away from Australian football. When I was younger, I developed a bit faster than some of the other kids because you play by age group, and I was born like January 4th, which is very start of the year. So I was always one of the bigger kids on the field. So if anyone was doing physical contact, it was me. But basketball also helped because Australian football, like super physical, so a lot of people don't really work on that agility aspect. So you got the biggest kid on the field who's also breaking ankles on the field because no one can handle the agility either. Yeah. So I really enjoyed Australian football when I had the opportunity to play it every week.
So your whole family is basically super successful in sports. Mostly in kicking. Big kick family. How has that helped push you to have that experience of, you were 14 getting to work out at the Steelers facility. Obviously when you're 14, you're not throwing around the heavy weights, but you're still getting that experience of getting to watch all these top athletes all the time, getting to be involved with all these athletics. And talk to us about that. Like how did that help push you?
Well, a lot of people when they hear these stories or how successful my brothers are, a lot of people think there's like a lot of expectations on me, but I don't really feel that at all. My parents and my brothers do a great job at just supporting me for what I want to do. I wouldn't really call it expectations. I'd really call it just straight support. And when you talk about support systems, especially with all the connections they have, my support system's probably better than most people's. So just having them around, having them to talk to. Obviously, they've done everything that prior to what I'm about to do with the college system. They've had the opportunity to pick what school they go to. Just their wisdom and their experience just really helps guide what I want to do in the future.
And so you talk about how they've kind of set this mold going to college and all that, but you're the only one that's gone to America for prep school. What made you take that different approach? And what made you take that different approach coming to America to play ball? Yeah,
so at the time, my oldest brother Jordan, he was with the Steelers, and he was the only one living in the US. The rest of the family was still in Australia. But then my dad, with his PhD, obviously in sports science, he applied for the head sports science job at IMG, and he actually got accepted. He got offered the job, but before he took it, it was like a family decision. Like, because obviously, if I take it, I'm leaving my home country, going to USA during my high school years. I would have to give up Australian football, which was like one of my two loves. But when you look at the benefits of it, basketball in Australia is like very good, but the exposure just isn't there compared to the US. So it was a very like family driven decision to move. So me and my two parents moved to IMG together as a group, and so the opportunities in basketball were just too much to just say no to. And then I've enjoyed the 4 years that I've spent here. Obviously, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here for 4 years. So it's been an experience that not many people say they have. So I'm very, very thankful for it. Especially being in a foreign country, especially at IMG when there's so many foreign people there. You get to experience so many different cultures, so many different people, so many different walks of life. And it's just a great environment to be around.
Could you take us a little bit through that experience at IMG, especially with those first few years? Did you know what you were signing up for when you showed up here?
No, definitely not. So how my dad sold me on IMG was basically he showed me that like 2 YouTube videos, and it was like, all right, this is IMG. Like, are you interested at all? See, most kids, like, they take a visit before they come here, or they do like a summer camp. or even just like talk to one of the coaches. I was basically just thrown in the deep end and be like, go swim. And I turned up actually during one of the hurricanes. I forgot which hurricane it was called.
Yeah, it was I think it was Harvey. No, it was Irma.
Irma.
Harvey was the same year, but Irma hit while we were there.
Yeah. So I actually had trouble getting my visa to come to the US. So I was coming into school like 2 months late. And then when we finally got the visa, that's when Irma hit. So I couldn't come for another 4 weeks. So I came during November, which is like nearing the end of the first semester. So basically, I've had the whole online experience before anyone else this year.
Oscar was ready.
Yeah, exactly. And it was hard for the first week or so for sure, because obviously people know each other by now. They're in the rhythm of school. They're in the rhythm of the basketball life at IMG. And I was kind of just, I don't want to say I was thrown in there, but I had a point to prove almost. So the sophomore year was good. It was definitely a good introduction year. At the time, IMG's basketball program was like just building up. Like the year before was Trayvon DeVell, which is, I think, what put IMG really big on the map. And then obviously the year after that, we had like Josh Green come, Jemias Ramsey, Silvio, and Anthony Simmons really started the post-grad scene. So being a sophomore and like getting to see the varsity aspect and the post-grad aspect of IMG, it was definitely a great introduction year. And then the junior year, that's when things started to roll. Had a really good team that year. I believe if IMG was allowed to go for a state championship, I think we would have won it.
I think you guys would win every state championship if we're going to be real.
Unless we had to play the national team, of course.
I think that the JV team could win a state championship at IMG.
Yeah, so that team was super good. We had like Eric Daly, who's obviously a 4-star now, super good. We had Markai Strickland, who's at St. Louis right now. We had Zach Eady, who was on the all-freshman team this year for Purdue.
Big fella.
He was
huge guy.
Like 7'4", like
and then we also had Jacob Ray, who's at St. Thomas in Miami right now.
What? What is he doing? Is he playing volleyball now or something?
So yeah, he's still playing for St. Thomas, but then during the off season he's playing volleyball.
That's so sick. Good for him. Sorry, I've been meaning to ask someone about that for a long time. That's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, no, he's living life. He's doing good.
I don't know anyone who looks like they're enjoying life more than he is. I'm gonna be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that team was super good. It was definitely a great experience for me because that was my first true experience with varsity basketball in the US. Because definitely coming from Australia, it was more a fundamental driven basketball system. Obviously, we don't have crazy athletes back in Australia. Like our greatest athlete is Matthew Dellavedova.
Hey, we love Dellavedova. On this podcast, we're big Dellavedova people.
We love Delly. Yeah, so obviously it's a very defensive orientated system. A lot of plays, even just in juniors, like in under 12s, we would have like 30 to 40 different sets. But then you come to the US and then it's basically just one-on-one, baby. It's like, you can't guard me or I'm going to the hoop. And so, yeah, definitely had to adapt a little bit to that. Definitely had to work on my one-on-one game, had to work on my one-on-one defensive skills. But yeah, it was definitely a huge year for me in my development role. Had a great coach that year in Bobby Jordan, who's now the assistant at Wagner. Super great guy, enthusiastic. he was really like just gave us the tools to do what we wanted to do to become the best players that we could. So those first 2 years at IMG were very good for me. It was a great introduction to what life in the US was, what sport in the US was, and what school was. Yeah, because obviously student comes before athlete. So you got to get those.
Is that like their tagline? Is how many times did we hear that one when we were there?
Yeah, absolutely. They're just trying to sell it all the time.
Like, yes, your studies matter. No, I'm kidding. IMG studies do matter, but
They do a good job.
they do it really. They do it for
Yeah.
what they could be. They do an amazing job on the education side. From my 1 year of experience, I'll
Absolutely, they
vouch
do.
hard.
Because yeah, obviously everyone there has got the same goal of getting to the next level in their sport. So the teachers do, they do a great job supporting the students to keep up with the work that they're given. And coming from Australia, who are really pinned down academics, who the academics are almost overwhelming at time. It was a very easy change for me. So. Definitely enjoyed my years of schooling at IMG.
We've spoken to Josh Ozapor and Eric Daly, who both also spent many years at IMG. Like, can you talk about taking advantage sort of being able to spend so long at a facility like that and what it's like to be at a place like IMG, especially coming from a family that's so sports oriented and so successful in sports, just how you could take advantage of all the facilities available to you and the staff and everything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before actually going to IMG, I went to a sports academy in Australia, which was Maribyrnong Sports Academy, which was a great program, great school. But I've also seen like all the professional facilities that my brothers have been to. I've taken countless tours of different facilities as well. But it's hard to say that anything compares to IMG in the amount of facilities they have, the amount of staff available. Just IMG, if you need it, they have it, or they can get it for you. So it's always having whatever you need at the tips of your fingers. It's definitely something that you can't take for granted. You mentioned Josh Ozabor before, and I think he's a great example of it. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. He definitely took everything he could from IMG, and that man is unbelievable in what he did day in and day out. And just having people like that around you is another resource that IMG provides. Just having people like-minded as you who want to get to that next level. And IMG is just a great place to be.
Love IMG here. So your senior season came to an early end because of the pandemic, and like many athletes who had the choice, you took a post-grad year. I imagine there was more factors to it. We can go over that a little later, but I want to talk about your experience during this post-grad year. What did you expect? How has it been? Are you taking classes? Do you have to take classes? I know I know the rules on what constitutes being a PG are really weird. So there's a lot of like loopholes where you can take like one class or like no classes.
Yeah. So senior year, it was me, Javier Esquerra, who's committed to Wagner right now, and Cam Morris, who's playing at a JUCO right now. We were like the big three of that team. So we had a really good senior season. All three of us produced great numbers all year. And it was kind of sad having COVID cut it short, because obviously you had such a great season. You're expecting like some opportunities to come arise for the next year. And but then obviously COVID cut it short, recruiting died. I think I was offered probably like 5 or 6 walk-on spots. But obviously, like when you have a senior season that impactful, you don't really want to take that, because like personally, I thought I was able to get to the next level on scholarship. So the post-grad route was the route I took. Had prior meetings to the year with the head coach, Chad Myers, who's a great coach, great guy, heaps of knowledge. So he basically said that if he took the post-grad route, it would be a great development year for me. Not only basketball-wise, but physically, because I wouldn't be the star, obviously, on the post-grad national team, but just playing with the guys that were coming in would definitely take my game to the next level. And being on the post-grad national team this year was unbelievable experience, like probably the best team I've ever played with. We had four guys in the top 100. So yeah, just playing with those guys every day. So yeah, our starting lineup was ridiculous. We had Lynn Greer going to Dayton, Brandon Murray going to LSU, Benny Williams, Syracuse, Charles, Alabama, Efton, who's committing soon, who's a 5-star. And not only that, but then we had great guys coming off the bench, like Harvey going to Wagner, Nick going to Merrimack, KC, who's a 3-star. We got Dante going to Mount St. Mary. So this team was just stacked. And just training every day against these guys was it was almost like a war, because it was just, you had to give your all, or you're getting dunked on, or you're getting burnt, or and it was just a great year to develop. During the year, I had to take classes, because unfortunately I'm on a student visa. So if I didn't take classes, I'd get kicked out of the country.
I remember that. I remember I was in the same boat.
Yeah.
What classes were you taking?
So I took forensic science, robotics, contemporary lit, and international relations.
You had some fun classes.
Yeah, just simple classes to get through the year.
I remember we had on my team we had an Israeli kid, and that should be giving him away, but I'm not going to say his name. But he was taking 7th grade English as one of his classes, despite being almost 20 years old.
Yeah. That would've been good.
But I just wanted to see if you were taking real classes, or if I could burn you for taking some baby classes right there.
Well, the problem was I wanted to take. I opted to take like 4 different art classes. But then,
I didn't even know IMG had 4 art classes. When I was there was only 3.
and then I went to the college counselor, and she was just like, "Yeah, that's not happening." So yeah, I was definitely kicking the gut, because like I was just trying to get out.
I get that.
Yeah, obviously the post-grad year, you're trying to focus on basketball as much as possible. But yeah, those 4 classes weren't hard at all. Just had something like a 3.9 GPA through those.
Okay, big flexer.
Through those 4 classes, so pretty easy on the education side.
For working with the post-grad year, obviously working against those guys and against some of the higher level competition at IMG, it helps improve you. I just wanted to know, what were you doing during the pandemic? Because there were a lot of guys only a few guys actually got trapped on campus. So did you go back to live with your family for a bit? Were you back in Australia? Were you stuck there with Josh and Musa?
Yeah, so we didn't want to go to Australia, because we were worried that the borders would get locked and we'd get locked out of the country. And obviously, Dad's job is here, so that's our source of income. So we chose to stay here. And because I was an off-campus student, IMG didn't let me come on campus for a long time. So I basically teamed up with another guy who wasn't allowed on campus, Nick Milonis, who's at St. Thomas right now. And we would go to like outdoor courts in Bradenton, and just work out in like the 100-degree sun,
Oh,
and
God.
so that was it was definitely a sweaty time. Um, so
But
and
the
then
time
with
was,
my dad, so
I said the time must have been looking nice though.
oh yeah, well, it wasn't that bad. And then obviously with my dad's job at IMG, he was able to sneak a few weights out of the weight room and bring them home, so that
That's
I
awesome.
have my own mini weight room in the backyard. But then eventually IMG was picking itself back up, and they allowed so many people on campus. And then they were allowing summer camps and stuff. So started going on campus. Was working out with Josh and Musa. That was a fun time. Something like 7 or 8 weeks. Just probably there was like a group of like 5 of us who were consistently there, and then like, kids were just rolling in and out from all over the shop. But yeah, it was definitely a hard time because there's a lot of unknowns at the time. There was a lot of insecurity about what's next with the world, and what's next with school, what's next with the next year's basketball. And they built the dome at IMG because they had the WNBA come in and train at IMG. So we were in the dome for a long time. They didn't let any like pickup games run because of COVID concerns. So we're pretty much just doing skill work for 4 weeks. And then they weren't allowed to have too many people in the weight room, so we're outside most of the time as well. So it was a hard time. It definitely tested how committed you are to basketball. But it was all worth it because once we were allowed back into the IMG facilities, once the WNBA left, obviously things weren't normal, but there was a bit more like sense of comfort, and that's when training started to really pick up. That's when the games started beginning. Just everything just came back to normal, and now we're here.
Yeah.
How has IMG been with the COVID protocols?
They've been good. They do it at school. They have like mask up policy. They try their best to social distance. With basketball, it's only like one group at a time in the weight room, and then you have basically they just call them pods. So basically, your pod is your team, and you don't interact too much with other people. But yeah, for the most part, they've been really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked. I was just curious what they were doing.
Yeah. Obviously, with the teenage years, it's sometimes hard to keep some kids in check. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's gotta be a mess.
for the most part, the staff members are doing a good job.
Hold up. So there's been a recent movement of American players making the move to the NBL. Most famously, LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton. But I know there was his name escapes me. But someone who's going to the draft just went to the NBL this year to finish off their season. You're doing the opposite. You came to America.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the chance of just going home and playing in the NBL, or are you committed to going to American college?
I'm definitely committed going to American college. The NBL, those pathway programs for the young players going in, they're usually for the like the real top players at what we call the AIS, which is the Australian Institute of Sport, which is like where the most elite athletes go to train and live. So a good example would be Josh Giddey, who's he's same age as me. I played him growing up.
That's awesome. We need to talk about that.
Yeah. And so now he's playing with the Adelaide 36ers, and he's having a great year. 6'7" something point guard. and yeah, he's having a great year. Probably going to be the rookie of the year, and he's declared for the NBA draft, and will most likely be a top 20, top 15 pick.
Yeah, almost definitely a lottery pick.
Yeah,
Barring
absolutely.
something surprising, that guy's going lottery.
Yeah, that guy, he's a great player. So to be a young player getting into the NBL is definitely super hard, because now with obviously LaMelo and RJ giving the NBL so much attention, a lot of foreign people, Americans mostly, are coming to play. So the amount of talent in the NBL now is astronomical compared to, like, say 8 years ago. And the NBL has embraced it. They've created the NBL One League, which is like the equivalent to like the G League here, which gives like young players the ability to get their progression going, get to the next step of their basketball careers.
Can you talk a little bit more about playing against Josh Giddey? I had no idea you would play against him. I had not put the 2 and 2 together that you guys probably played a bunch growing up.
Yeah.
When did you play him? Let's start with when did you play him?
So it started in under 12s. He played for the Melbourne Tigers. I played for the Kilo Thunder. We both made the Victoria State team, which is like a big deal in Australia. That's the highest level of basketball you can play at. So that was the first time we played together as a team. And then growing up, it was always like we would always play each other in the finals for the state tournament, which is a big deal. There's actually a video on YouTube if you want to go look of a 14-year-old us going at it.
We might need that for the Instagram. Just warning you, we might need to copy that video.
Yeah. So he's always been a great competitor to play against. Obviously, when we were that young, he's not as tall as he was nowadays. But it was always fun to play against. Another great talent was like Tamari Wigness, who's playing for the Brisbane Bullets, which is another NBL team. He's from Queensland though, so didn't play him as much. Only played him at the national tournaments. So all of the pathway guys in the NBL, I've come up against them one point or another.
That's so cool.
Over the years.
Yeah, me and Chaz might have played Lou Dort at some point. I'm not 100% sure, but
Definitely played Ludor here and there. He's
at some point. We don't have the flex of and we played a lottery pick. That's awesome. Okay, last Josh Giddey question before I move on. Is he a nice guy? It's my favorite question to ask. Is he a nice guy?
When he was younger, he wasn't that great, but now that he's grown up, I think he's become very mature and he's become a lot better. There was one year, under 16s, which was a really big year for basketball in Australia. You make the state team, which is the Victoria team, and Giddey actually didn't make it. He was, and that was basically, I think he also says it as well. That was like the year that like flipped a switch for him. That was the year he started to really like attack working hard, and you could see it. You could definitely see it in the way he played, the way he conducted himself. That was probably a blessing in disguise for him.
his Michael Jordan getting cut from the varsity team moment.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I didn't make the all-nation team. That's interesting. I did not know about that. That is an interesting story that I don't think anyone has talked about before. Talking about interesting stories, I want to go back to you. We fell off of you. I want to talk about you again. I want to talk about recruiting. You and I have been texting about it. I was wondering if you could let us know where you're looking right now. What's going on in the recruiting of Oscar Berry right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of weeks ago, I picked up an offer from a Division II Mercyhurst. Super solid program, great coach. But I gave them the opportunity to look elsewhere because I wasn't ready to commit at the time. But yeah, I keep in contact with them. They're great people there. But right now, the leading schools in my recruitment are probably Fairleigh Dickinson and UT Martin. But at the same time, with the pandemic going on, no one really knows how many scholarships they're going to have available, especially with 1,500 dudes in the transfer portal. So yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. The director, Brian Nash, is doing a great job, still talking to a lot of schools on my behalf. So right now, recruitment's still open, but hopefully nearing an endpoint soon.
And what are you hoping to find in a school when you're making that decision? What are the factors that are the biggest for you?
I've been asked this question a few times, and I like to pin it down to the three categories of am I going to enjoy the basketball program? Like, is the coach a good guy? Is the culture good? Next one's like the location. I don't want to study something that I'm not interested in for 4 years. Definitely, I wanted to just study something that I really enjoy and something that I could possibly do after playing college for 4 years.
What are you interested in?
I like architecture is one.
Oh,
Yeah.
so no
like,
disrespect for wanting to take 4 art courses. Then that's totally
yeah.
on
I'm
brand.
actually pretty good at art. So yeah, I like the design aspects of things. That's one, and then I'm also pretty good with numbers. So statistics related subjects are pretty interesting to me.
Speaking of statistics, I watched some of your highlight tapes from this season and saw a couple of your shooting splits. You really shoot that pill of lights out. Can you talk about what you want to bring to a college program and what you think you can bring to the building that can elevate and help make a team better than where they're at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get to like what I can produce on court, I always like to call myself like the culture guy. I like it make it my mission to like say what's up to everyone, make sure I know everyone's name, pick people up when they're down, like create the energy in the room. And that was on full display my senior year when I won the Ascender Award. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Displaying all the Ascender values at IMG. So yeah, definitely culture's a big part of who I am, and then when we get onto the court, I like to talk. Obviously, I've got the shot, and I can shoot consistently, but I like to think of myself as one of the most adaptable people on the court. I can guard multiple positions. I can play either in a system basketball team or in a like a player first team where the players have the freedom to do what they want to do. That also comes defensively as well, whether we're in man-to-man or zone. When I say adaptable, that comes basically hand in hand with coachable. So I kind of make it my mission to be like the least told off person in the team. So yeah, one of my favorite quotes is like good players learn from their mistakes, but great players learn from other people's mistakes. So yeah, I love to live by that quote and just gather as much information as I can from whenever the coaches speak, whenever even my teammates speak, just anything I can get, I try to listen to.
Hugely important. And I just wanted to say too, along with that, it's sort of a two-part question. Is there something you're doing this off season, or what are you going to be working on to really bring your game to the next level that you're going to try to implement or putting towards to be able to play at a high level when you get to the college level next season?
Yeah, I think with not knowing what college I'm going to yet, it gives me the opportunity to just work on every aspect of my game, and just try and develop every part of what makes me a good player to the best of my ability. And I think once the season ended this year, obviously I came off the bench for that unbelievable starting five. So my role was more of like a catch and shoot shooter, create for the bigs, and then now the season's ended and we're playing more pickup style games. That gives me the opportunity to like work on my game even more. And I've seen the benefits to that. Past 4 weeks, I've really like hit a rhythm in my basketball game, and I've just pretty much taken my game to the next level. And basically this summer I'll just be working on my body more than anything.
I just wanted to say when Chaz mentioned numbers, there's one play in your huddle highlight tape where the score indicated by the scoreboard is 180 to 62.
Okay, now that was a glitch.
I just wanted to I just wanted to confirm. I wanted to confirm that you guys are not that mean and that good at shooting.
Yeah, we're pretty mean, but we're not that unbelievable.
He sent it to our group chat. He's like, so glitch or not? I'm like, he said glitch or not, and then I was trying to find the score, and I was like, okay, maybe it'll be like 120 to 40, and that might not be a glitch. And then it was like 180. I'm like, yep, that's a glitch. That is wrong. So you've been looking at colleges for. This is my last question I've written, unless Chaz has one more. You pretty much started looking at colleges 2 years ago as a junior. You've been in this college selection process basically forever now. How have your expectations and desires changed since day one junior year?
So junior year, I wasn't completely focused on getting to the college level. It was like, let's just have a great progression year, and then hopefully, if I play well enough, those opportunities will arise. And then going into my senior year, that's when recruitment and the next step really became a center focus. So always communicating with coaches like Dan Bardo, who was a great resource that year. Just like trying to get my name out there as much as possible. And then post-grad year, obviously super disappointed that senior year got cut short. Senior year, I didn't have the opportunities that I believed that I should have had. Post-grad was that's the one goal you do post-grad for is to get to the next level. And like obviously you have that one idea of winning the national championship, but in the back of everyone's mind, it's what can I do to get to that next level.
No one does a post-grad year to get extra high school classes.
Yeah, exactly.
My last question before we close it out, if you want to, John, was just, you mentioned the location before, and obviously you're from Australia, moved to Florida. Me and John both live in Canada. Have you ever seen snow?
I have, but I can also count on my hands how many times.
Okay. So the cold weather, have you ever really played basketball in like a cold weather environment? And
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I went to New York for a trip, which was fun. In Australia, it doesn't snow, but obviously it can get to like like 5 degrees Celsius. So it's
Don't
still,
worry, we all speak Celsius on this podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So definitely, it still definitely gets still gets
Okay.
chilly. And then with my brother living in Pittsburgh, I've been exposed to the cold weather there.
Yeah. Okay. Just had to be sure, from someone who's seen way more snow than I think I ever need to in my life. I just wanted to make sure that you gotten to see a little bit.
From someone who's shoveled more pounds of snow than I will ever need to in my life. Okay, I forgot to write the question down. I'm gonna ask Oscar, do you have any hobbies outside of basketball?
Hobbies outside of basketball. I do like gaming.
What are you playing nowadays?
I was a big Warzone guy. I've taken a little break because it got addicting. But yeah, for the most part, Warzone. Another hobby is coming back to the art aspect. I actually customize shoes.
Oh,
Hang on, I'll give you a little taste. Hang on.
go for it.
There we go. See, I got a few pairs that I think I eventually want to get custom, so
Okay.
maybe we'll have to.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Audio viewers, you'll have to tune into the Instagram to see that. That's nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm nice with the paintbrush.
All right.
I like the way you put that. Oscar, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Is there anything you want to say before we close this up?
Nah, all good. Pleasure's all mine.
It's pleasure having you on, my man. And thank you so much for coming. It means the world to have you on. To all our listeners, please keep liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing. It really helps us out every single time you send it to one of your friends. All of that, it really gets us. It helps. Please don't stop doing that. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to Ball Talk.
It's ball talk. It's ball talk, baby. 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 Baby, 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 baby.